Hello, and welcome back to the long overdue return of the 30-plus films of Scooby-Doo. I just wanted to put a quick video up here at the beginning to talk about a couple of things that you need to be aware of, both for this video specifically and the series in general. So, series in general, we're back. We will be back. We will continue to be back on the previous release schedule of a new video on the 15th and the end of the month, either the 30th or the 31st, depending on what the last day of the month is. Going forward until we're done. The storyline elements of this series are going to end with Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2. I've just decided it's enough. I've had enough. We're getting it done this year. No more dragging it out, no more anything. The plus side is, as of this video going up right now, there are 5 episodes done, including this one. A 6th is in editing, and the others will be coming shortly thereafter. Work is proceeding behind the scenes. That's why it took so long. I've been working to get a bunch of these done so we have a buffer and keep things going. Which is also why we're doing the 15th and the end of the month release schedule still, so there gives us a little more time to get everything. Gives us, well, when I say us, I mean me and the editors, because I have editors now, because I don't like editing. So anyway, so yeah, that's what's happening going forward. We anticipate that the series will have its currently final episode of Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2 up on November 30th. That is the current plan, given the 12 movies that are left. That said, afterwards, if more Scooby movies come out, sure, I'll do an episode on them, but as far as the storyline stuff goes, that will wrap up with Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2. Plans are in the works to meet up with Miss Nightmare to shoot the closing storyline segments for that, and everything else. All right, great. Now, let's talk about this video in particular. You are about to see the video for Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon. At the time that this script had been written and recorded by both myself and Rosenthorn, who I do this video with, Vince McMahon had, returned to WWE, but certain things had not yet happened. If you are not familiar with professional wrestling and don't follow it, Vince McMahon is once again out at WWE as their chairman, largely due to what appears to be actual sex trafficking charges. I don't know the full details. I'm sure Wrestling Twitter or everything will like it. Go bother Rosenthorn if you want to know the details. He can tell you. But pretty much... So, a lot of the information that we talk about was accurate at the time we recorded it. The editors have put in a few other things that updated it to go on. But basically, if you're wondering why we don't talk about the sex trafficking charges with Vince, and we don't talk about what's recently happened, mostly because by the time we got everything produced, it hadn't happened yet. Everything was put together and in editing at the time all that news broke. So... yeah, that's why it's not getting addressed, but I felt I should put a video explaining why it's not there, because I know somebody's going to bring it up. So, time moves forward. That time is a linear thing. It continues to progress. That's just the way it is. So, yeah. So, again, we are back on schedule. 15th and the last day of the month, depending on what it is. Patreon backers get it a day early. Once again, patreon.com/DubiousCon. As little as much as $1 a month goes a long way, guys. Seriously, I've said it before, I'm up to 5,320 subscribers, I think. And again, if every single one of those subscribers, even though I know there's a vast majority that no longer even visit this channel, either because they've moved on to something and just forgot to unsubscribe, or it's bots, or it's just YouTube not telling these people that I put a new video up, even if they're all legitimate, even if only half the people here, even if only half that number were to donate $1 a month each, I could do this full time. But that's just the way it is. All right. So that's all I've got to say. I'm glad to be back. This series will start uploading more frequently and more regularly until we're done. Following that, we will go back to another series which has been abandoned for years. Look up on the screen, but we'll talk more about that when I actually get that series back up and running. In the meantime, thank you for your patience, thank you for your support, and please enjoy the 30-plus films of Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo and WWE, Curse of the Speed Demon. Okay, let's figure out how we got here, alright? We went through some movies. You went missing for a month. I found you. We went through some more movies. You wound up on a Cobra supply train. I got framed and went to prison for 5 months. Broke out, infiltrated the Terrordrome, got you back. We went through some more movies. And then you somehow get abducted by air pirates with absolutely no way for me to follow you or even know where you are. And yet, I arrive here today, and you're here too. Mocking me. Oh, yeah, and the next movie just happens to be here as well. Great. Does that sound about right? You know, if I was somebody watching these videos when they go up on the internet, I would become halfway convinced that I, as a video creator, have gotten bored with this whole ongoing story and am just sticking to the bit out of sheer inertia, despite not having the time, money, or resources to actually do anything with all these wild adventures I keep implying happen off camera. Alright, fine. Let's get on with it.
Man, I wish racing was real.
Hi there.
Huh? Oh, yeah, Knight warned me this might happen.
She doing alright?
Well, she's not obsessively researching spells to get you back for the moment, so that's something.
Oh, good.
So, what movie are we looking at?
Scooby-Doo and WWE, Curse of the Speed Demon. It made its debut at San Diego Comic-Con on July 23rd, 2016, with a digital release 3 days later, and a physical release on August 9th of that year. It was written by Ernie Altbacker and directed by Tim Diver.
And edited by Keith Barkas.
What, you have a thing for editors or something?
Nope. I just like knowing there's a guy out there named Keith Barkas. It's fun to say. Keith Barkas.
Right.
Keith Barkas.
Anyway, this is the first direct sequel to any of the movies in this series, being a follow-up to WrestleMania Mystery.
Not that you would really know it outside of a couple lines and a few story elements. Like Jeff said back in that review, a couple of years is a really long time in wrestling, and things can change really quickly. In fact, only 3 WWE personalities returned from WrestleMania Mystery: The Miz, Triple H, and Vince McMahon, because God forbid anything involving WWE not have Vince McMahon in it, as recent events have shown.
Beg pardon?
Vince is back.
I thought he retired.
Yeah, well, it's Vince. He came back, like herpes.
Okay then, moving on. This also marks the date. This also marks the debut of Kate Micucci as Velma in these movies. As mentioned in another video, she was cast in the role for the TV series Be Cool, Scooby-Doo, and has maintained the role up to the present day.
WWE Studios. We will never apologize for Knucklehead.
There's no prologue scene in this movie, instead opting to go right to the credits and wisely use that time to identify the various WWE superstars that are in this movie for those in the audience unfamiliar with them. Anyway, the movie proper begins with the latest WWE sports endeavor, the WWE Muscle Moto X Off-Road Challenge.
Great name, by the way, and the cars look really sweet too. Shaggy and Scooby are watching on the TV, and when the hell did Michael get so jacked?
You're telling me that if you were getting animated into a movie, you wouldn't ask the character designers to take off a few pounds or beef up your muscles?
Fair point.
It's Extreme Road Race and it's $1 million prize.
I'd ask why Vince is so cheap he's having his wrestlers compete in death races for that little, but again, it's Vince.
Back at the starting line, we got...
I forgot we were right here!
You forgot you were there? How high are you?
Anyway, the wrestlers are set up as teams in customized cars. Paige and The Miz and the Two Awesome.
Careful, sweetie. Precious cargo.
I do love how Miz is never above making fun of himself. He's a delightful jerk in this movie.
Lana and Rusev in the Moscow Express, Los Matadores in the Pamplona Especial,
Which is really dumb, considering they're actually from Puerto Rico.
Sheamus, Goldust, and Stardust in the Celtic Cruiser,
We must purify our auras in a
Light of the setting star.
Rosen?
Yeah, they're just like that. Roll with it.
Okay then. And to finish things off, the Authority, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H in the company car, and finally The Undertaker and Dusty Rhodes in the Legend Mobile.
Sadly, this was the last major thing Dusty Rhodes did before his death in 2015. Oh hey, Kofi Kingston, and he's just a reporter in this? What's the matter, Vince? Don't think a black guy can drive a car?
This interview is over.
Vince McMahon is a racist.
Of course, this is also an opportunity to introduce a potential suspect, producer Walter Qualls, voiced by Phil Lamar.
This may be my best production yet. Even better than Tornado Divers or Tsunami Surfing.
I want both of those shows yesterday. Anyway, the Legends hit the time trial course and almost immediately kick the Authority's asses, but about halfway through something weird happens because it's Scooby-Doo and we need to establish the monster. Oh, I see Vince didn't even bother with a ridiculous costume.
The monster, who later refers to himself as Inferno, starts trying to run the Legend Mobile off the track, and when the Undertaker starts hitting back, the car produces a claw and just hurls the Legend's car off the track. Fortunately, both Dusty and the Undertaker are okay, for a given value of okay.
Go yourself.
Undertaker ain't having any of that bullshit. Inferno gets back in his car and hightails it back to the woods. Later, Dusty gets the prognosis.
Hey, I just threw out my bag, man. Don't worry about it.
No, Dusty, you just threw out 5 backs.
Back with the gang, Shaggy and Scooby naturally want to get the hell out of there, but Vince shows up and asks for the gang's help. That night, they check out the track, and the tire tracks of the Demon Rig outright stop just past the tree line. Velma also finds a local urban legend concerning Marauders Mountain, the location of the race. Back in the 1930s, homemade hot rod races were a thing, and one night an unknown racer appeared and started taking out the other racers.
Racer X?
There really isn't anything you can't tie back to anime, is there?
Nope. Hey everybody, don't forget to listen to my podcast Randime on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Rosen_Thorn, as well as Tracing the Grand Line and the Rotho JoJo Show.
I'd tell you to get out, but we're both stuck here.
The racer wound up going over the edge of the washed out remains of Dead Man's Curve, because of course there's a Dead Man's Curve, and supposedly haunts the mountain to this day.
Sniff?
Velma recognizes it as sulfur, and no sooner does she do so than Quall shows up, excited about the possibilities Inferno's presence implies.
What's not to like? And now a demon's curse. It's a producer's jackpot, a 40 share.
Walter Qualls, David Zaslav's favorite character.
Qualls not so subtly implies that he'd rather the gang ease off on the investigation, but they, of course, decline. So Quall suggests that they head down to the pit hangar and ask the Superstars what they saw.
It looks like word of the whole thing with the Ghost Bear got around because both Undertaker and El Torito seem to be fans of Shaggy and Scooby. Meanwhile, the gang talk to the other wrestlers.
And I love those classic Takamotos.
Thanks. Fashion for the girl of action. Daddy bought them.
Whew. Okay, I know voice acting is a completely different skill set, but man, Stephanie's performance is terrible in this. She sounds like she's reading an oral report in front of a 3rd grade classroom. And speaking of terrible people, Vince shows up to tell Stephanie he's kicking her out of the race because she has too much work to do and isn't safe. Or, you know, Vince is just a sexist asshole who undermines his family at every turn, and wanted to fuck his daughter. That's not slander on my part, that is an actual storyline he pitched.
I'm sure I can find someone else.
You can't be serious.
Replaced by a dog. There's a country song in there somewhere.
Dinner gets served, and Dusty isn't happy when he finds out the race is still going on.
Y'all better watch yourself. It's more than the demon that got old Dusty. It's a curse.
Dusty Rhodes was made for animation.
And Stephanie takes advantage of the fact that without a partner, Undertaker would be out of the race as well by pitching Shaggy and Scooby as his new partners. That this means she's back in as Triple H's partner has absolutely no bearing on her suggestion at all. Not that it matters, because Qualls loves the idea and points out that doing so will spike the ratings.
And if there's one thing Vince loves more than his own family, or his ego, it's money. And of course, the boys accept it in their own way.
I'm so scared and happy.
Scabby?
Outside, the lead mechanic, Big Earl, seems to be having financial difficulties as he has a pile of past due bills for his kids' college education.
Yep, calling it now. Earl's the demon.
And it also turns out the Legendmobile caught fire before it could be towed back to the garage and is basically a complete pile of junk, which leaves Undertaker and the boys without a car. Fred teams up with Earl to figure out how to get them a new ride by morning. Undertaker spots some odd powder on Earl's coveralls, which Velma identifies as talcum powder. Earl says it came from when he was replacing an airbag in another car. Meanwhile, Stephanie and Triple H leave the pit.
We still need to get our pre-race manicures.
Manicures?
Stephanie's totally gonna have a three-way with the Authority, ain't she? Anyway, after the obligatory car montage, speaking of which, you guys should all watch Opera Ranmon.
Focus!
Right, sorry. Remember, Randime, twitch.tv/RosenThorn. The next day, the first leg of the race is about to start, which takes the racers through Deadwood Forest. The winner gets a 30-second head start in the second leg, which doesn't really seem like that much of an advantage in a road race, but what do I know? I'm a wrestler, not a race car driver.
And we finally see the replacement car Earl and Fred were working on, the Scoobinator.
You'll love the new modifications. Did we? Dropped it hot.
There ain't no rule which says a dog can't drive a sandwich without a license.
Before we move on, for those of you following the Idiot Fred moments, pretty much throughout this section of the movie, Fred is operating on no sleep, so we're going to cut him a break until he seems more lucid. Or at least, as lucid as this version of Fred gets.
The race begins and everybody leaves Team Taker in the dust. Whatever Fred and Earl did to the truck, it doesn't seem like it's enough. The race is being recorded by flying camera drones, and is that Kofi Kingston on a hoverboard? That is awesome!
Crucifix!
I will drive.
Fucking magnet boots, are you kidding me?
Is this really any less ridiculous than other stuff WWE has done?
The Authority holds the lead, but it's still early.
The company car is leading! Woo! Go Stephanie!
Oh my god, I was joking about the three-way!
The Scoobinator still trails the pack while Too Awesome and the Moscow Express try and fail to overtake the company car. Much like The Miz tries and fails to neg Paige into being a better driver.
Oh! Oh!
The Demon Rig shows up as the company car retakes the lead and the racers arrive at the old Deadwood Bridge, where Inferno sets said bridge on goddamn fire.
Of course, these are WWE wrestlers, so common sense is not a problem as they'll charge across the bridge. The Demon Rig starts menacing the company car, Kofi goes in for a closer look, but something weird happens.
With Kofi backing off, Inferno attacks the company car again. Back in the stands, Velma notices that even though Stephanie's in danger, Vince is nowhere to be seen, and you would think he'd be watching to make sure she's okay.
You would think that, wouldn't you? But again, it's Vince, so this isn't entirely suspicious behavior. Anyway, Team Taker's still in last place and coming up on the burning bridge, but Scooby accidentally hits a red button on the dash, which triggers the rocket boosters Fred was too tired to tell them about, which not only increases their speed, but enables them to literally bounce their way across the collapsing bridge.
They make up the distance and soon come upon the Demon Rig. Inferno spots them and conceals the rig in a smokescreen, which Undertaker drives right through and right up the side of a cliff.
12 yards long, 2 lanes wide, 65 tons of American pride. Can you narrow? Can you narrow?
The Demon Rig seems to have vanished, allowing the Authority to take first place. Team Taker comes up from behind for second, and Los Matadores take third.
Hey, you ever see somebody so angry at their performance they literally eat a flower?
That night, Kofi interviews the racers about their performance, and naturally, The Miz starts acting like a clod.
You're blaming me? You did nothing!
Wrong-o!
First, I was performing like a champion. B, I was gracing this event with my style and credibility.
Ooh, we're gonna have a food fight?
Yeah!
Oh, a brawl. Yeah, that seems about right for WWE.
The brawl, however, is short-lived when Vince shows up to put a stop to it.
If he ain't selling tickets, it ain't happening.
What in the name of gorgeous George is going on here?
Was not expecting the Gorgeous George reference. Points to you, movie.
Paige, Lana, Rusev, and The Miz all demand new partners, but it looks like Vince is just going to fire everybody until Qual shows up with the ratings and promises the controversy will just send them higher. So Vince pairs Paige with Lana and Rusev with The Miz. Meanwhile, Velma asks Daphne to go over the case with her, assuming Fred wakes up, but Daphne's meeting up with Stephanie to discuss a job as a WWE WrestleWear designer.
Good lord, how much sex can these women have? There's only so many hours in the day.
Thank you. This naturally makes Velma suspicious. Later that night, the boys run out of snacks and hit the Scooby-Nator to make some. They hear a noise and catch Inferno doing something to the company car. He spots them as well and begins chasing them. Fortunately for the boys, The Miz is on another midnight jog, and this time he's ready for unexpected monster attacks.
This is the most strike-heavy I've ever seen The Miz, and he actually holds his own pretty well, getting Inferno in a leg lock, until the cheating bastard sets off the smokescreen again and manages to vanish after threatening everybody else. Earl checks out the company car and reports the oil line was cut, which would cause the engine to seize during the race.
Velma spots more talcum powder, which Triple H says ended up on the ground because he was double-checking the airbags earlier. There's also tracks from Inferno in the powder. Vince tries to get Stephanie to drop out, but not only is she staying in, she's going to be in the driver's seat for the next leg of the race. And in the shadows, Dusty Rhodes lurks.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes was many things. Menacing's not one of them.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Leg 2 of the race heads through Spire Lake, and as mentioned, the Authority gets a 30-second head start with Team Taker in the second position. After all the racers head out, Velma notices Vince leaving the stands.
Meanwhile, the Authority take the lead and drive the fucking car off a cliff!
You can't make them sink, because these superstars can drive on water.
What the fuck even are these cars? Vince would never spend this kind of money, no matter how high the ratings.
Well, that can't be good. Paige discovers that Lana's fight with Rusev was a ruse.
A Rusev, if you will.
I will not. Anyway, Lana's holding back deliberately so Rusev can take the win for this leg of the race, but before Paige can do anything about it, Inferno shows up and starts menacing the Celtic Cruiser.
The Celtic Cruiser flung like a flaccid flapjack.
No. The Limp Bizkit localization was Flaccid Pancake, or Limp Bizkit, not Flaccid Flapjack.
After Rusev drives the demon rig off Lana and Paige, Inferno turns his attention to the company car. Triple H gets onto the roof, intending to put a stop to all this nonsense.
Yeah, only Vince-approved nonsense is allowed here.
Inferno manages to hurl Triple H off the demon rig, but the company car eases off to catch it, much to the delight of Daphne.
Nice driving, Steph!
Wow, it is weird hearing that phrase out of context these days. Inferno keeps pounding on the Authority. Oh god, I just said that.
You were the one who started the sex jokes.
I know! Anyway, Team Taker shows up to distract him, but the resulting fight causes both the Demon Rig and the Scooby-Nator to take the wrong tributary on the river. He manages to shut down the Scooby-Nator's engine and stops, letting the current take Undertaker and the boys down the river. Yeah, we all know where this is going.
Kofi tries to help, but Inferno races toward him, causing the hoverboard to fritz out again and crash. Back at the race, the company car edges out the Pamplona Especial to take first once again. Back at the Scooby-Nator, Undertaker has a plan.
It's not over yet.
Is a Taco Bell run really the best way to solve this problem? I was not expecting the sausage rope, to be honest.
It's Scooby-Doo, how could you not? That night at the hotel, Vince holds a press conference saying the race is still on and somebody is getting the $1 million prize. Well, with one exception. Since the Scooby-Nator was destroyed, Team Taker's out of the race, which has pretty much sunk Undertaker's dream for the prize money.
I was gonna use my share of the prize money to create The Undertaker's Comedy Theater and Puppet Jubilee.
Fuck this! That's amazing!
Stephanie tries to get a hand for the Authority, but Sheamus points out that the whole thing so far seems like an angle to ensure they win the race. Stephanie and Triple H deny this, saying their skills are what's allowed them to take first so far. When the rest of the wrestlers express skepticism, Stephanie declines the head start, saying they don't need it to win.
Fred, Velma, and Daphne ask Vince where he goes during the races, but he more or less deflects the question and follows Stephanie and Triple H out.
And I'm fully aware this may seem suspicious, but it's not.
Whatever you say, Vince, so Daphne goes to talk to Stephanie.
My father would never hand us a win. He works us hard because we're family.
Oh, this is uncomfortable.
Colin, would you take over, please? I need a minute. I'm gonna go rant for about 3 hours.
Okay. Daphne tries to empathize with Stephanie's predicament, but Stephanie kind of blows her off before walking away. Daphne tells Velma what happened, and the two reaffirm their friendship and recommit to solving the mystery. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby are thrilled to be out of the race, except...
We're back in the game.
About damn time! The final leg of the race is the most absurd fucking thing yet.
To the infamous dead man's curve before parachuting back to our original starting line.
This time, the whole gang is riding with Undertaker because they have a plan to not only win the race, but solve the mystery. Velma figured out a big clue. Kofi's drones work on a specific frequency, and since they fritzed out when the demon rig got close to them, that means that at least some of the time, the rig is being remote controlled on the same frequency. So Fred has a plan to override the signal and stop the rig.
The authority is still in front. It's a new day.
Cute movie. Inferno shows up behind the racers, and because the road is so narrow, there's no way any of them can back off from him. He takes out the Celtic Cruiser and bashes the mystery machine into the side of a mountain, causing them to lose their parachute.
It wouldn't be a good idea to go off Dead Man's Curve without it.
You're with wrestlers, Velma. We're not known for good ideas.
Inferno blows by the Pamplona Especial and the Moscow Express before catching up to the two Awesome. Lena, however, has a plan of her own, sending Rusev to leap onto the car and setting off a smoke bomb before leaping on board herself, both intent on taking the rig for themselves. It does not go well for them.
I don't care. You come in my face, I'm gonna fight you.
What an agonizing backfire!
This is pretty much puts us back where we started as Rusev and Lana chuck the Miz back to the Two Awesome and take back the Moscow Express. Inferno blasts the Two Awesome again, and both Paige and the Miz, having had enough of this shit, get everyone else to agree and say, fuck this, let's kill us a demon, and I love it.
The racers manage to irritate the hell out of Inferno, which gets exacerbated when El Torito manages to get a few hits in before being kicked back to the Pamplona Especial.
And then Sheamus does the most awesome fucking thing in this movie.
Amazing! Sheamus just severed the scorpion tail.
Unfortunately, the victory is short-lived as Inferno throws Sheamus back to the Celtic Cruiser, which turns sideways, blocking the road for the other racers. The Undertaker manages to get the Mystery Machine around the jam and catch up to Inferno, who is still racing hellbent for the company car.
Fred manages to jam the signals for a while, but Inferno ruins that by getting back in the Demon Rig and manually driving, slamming into the Mystery Machine, causing Fred to lose the jammer. Undertaker hands the wheel off to Scooby and Shaggy and leaps off in the Demon Rig to face off with Inferno. Fred has another plan, but they need Dead Man's Curve to execute it.
Speaking of, the company car is the first one over, followed by the Demon Rig, both releasing their parachutes. The Mystery Machine follows soon after, and Fred reveals his backup plan.
This is some plan, Fred.
That was fucking awesome!
The added weight of the Mystery Machine causes both it and the Demon Rig to sail past the company car, much to Stephanie's chagrin. Inferno leaps off the Demon Rig to the Mystery Machine to escape Undertaker, who takes over driving the rig. All the cars make it down from Dead Man's Curve, and the race is back on.
Not that it really matters, because the Mystery Machine is way out in front as they cross the finish line. Shaggy and Scooby do what they normally do when a race is over.
But because this is a WWE co-production, it's Undertaker who gets the final blow.
One tombstone piledriver later, he's out for the count.
All of this, of course, leads to the reveal.
Triple H!
Yep, this whole thing was, in fact, a plot by the Authority to win the race. Either Stephanie or Triple H would be Inferno, while the other one drove the company car with a remote control gear, replacing the other in the car with a life-size airbag dummy, thus explaining the talcum powder. In fact, switching the two dummies is what Triple H was doing when Shaggy and Scooby spotted him, forcing him to cut the oil line to throw off suspicion. As for why, well, Stephanie wanted to prove to her dad that she could make the event a success and win, and basically do it all.
The only reason I didn't want you in the race is that I didn't want you to get hurt. Well, I'm afraid this time you're gonna have to pay for your mistakes, kiddo.
That's Vince for you. Hey, wait, where was he going during the races?
To practice.
Practice? Practice what?
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, dear God. End the movie now. End the movie now! Oh, dear God. End.
Hang on, just a couple more things to get through. So, Undertaker is going to use his share of the winnings for his puppet project.
I want that Undertaker puppet, by the way.
And Shaggy and Scooby give their share to Dusty. Well, that seems to have tied up the loose ends, so what did you think?
It seems like they had a lot more fun this time around than with WrestleMania Mystery. The wrestlers here have much better gimmicks and chemistry. There were plenty of awesome moments in action, and the race plot line worked a lot better than the generic WrestleMania setting of the last one. I thought it was pretty good.
I'll agree with that. I don't know if it's the change of wrestlers or the setting or what, but Curse of the Speed Demon works a hell of a lot better than WrestleMania Mystery did. Even non-wrestling fans can get behind the idea of a road race, even if they don't have any clue who any of the WWE stars are. It's more action-packed and a lot more interesting to watch. If it has a fault, it's that there may be too many characters to work with. In the effort to give everybody a chance to shine, the gang kind of get left out of things, especially Fred, Velma, and Daphne. But this is a really minor thing. If you like comic race movies, this one's a fairly good entry, and probably one of the better Scooby movies. And so, it's time to burn rubber with another of the 30-plus films of Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
And now it's dark.
Give it a minute.
Oh, my head. It hurts worse than Sid's leg.
Okay, did I hear a spell that? Or was I hallucinating again?
Yeah, you did. I got tapped to help Con.
Okay. Okay, cool. Wait. Hasn't it been a year since we heard anything from him?
Something like that. I don't know. He feels kind of tired, maybe?
I know that feeling. Oh.
Have you even slept recently?
I think so. I'm not sure. No, I don't want to be weird. You know what? I'm just gonna go look at all the Patreon requests I have to do. Maybe that will actually get me some sleep.
Okay then. Well, looks like everything's back to what passes for normal around here.
Wait, when did you get married?
Did you not?
Okay, now that that's taken care of, I am no longer letting you out of my sight. We are gonna finish this goddamn quest this year. I'm done, okay? 6 years is too fucking long, so let's go. What? Oh, right.
Here come those meddling kids to join the chase. No creep can keep them away.